All right. So Ryan, just a little, let's go a little bit background because I know you've been in this business for a long time. So tell me, just give us a background, about how you got into this business and, what you do.
Sure.
Would you consider wholesaler, rehabber? Just give us a, background.
Right. So, I mean, if you want a background, when I before real estate, I actually a lot of people that I see in real estate are, I was a computer guy, tech guy, and I was working at a company called Net to Phone. So, just as we're talking now, basically told voice over IP. Well, they were pioneers of creating, making phone calls over the internet. So, anyway, I graduated from NJIT, started working for that company and loved what I do, was doing over there. But, like most of us here, you just had that entrepreneurship itch, right? That, being able to do what you want to do, not being told from someone else. I mean, I had great bosses, but just something about being told what to do just didn't resonate. And always knowing that there was something, that calling, right? I guess we all kind of have that. And I call it entrepreneurship blood because, with the benefits that we have of being able to come and go as we please, we have additional responsibility. It's really not for everybody. So anyway, so I'm there for 5 years, and I was dabbling into real estate right after a coworker of mine gave me an audio book of Rich Dad Poor Dad. Right, we hear this story all the time, and I remember listening to this thing and saying, as I'm hearing these new concepts, I'm fighting them because it goes against what we're taught. Long and short of it, I end up looking at the Rich Dad forums, and then I start looking in, because they kind of pitch a little bit of the real estate. So, I'm just really intrigued, start diving in, and, they have stuff for beginners on there that basically was, pre foreclosure, I guess, for the hot thing, and talked about door knocking. So, literally, I guess a month or 2 months or whatever it may be, a couple months after just reading what I could on the forums and listening to that audiobook, I jumped in to pre foreclosures and started door knocking. And now, that if anyone has done that, that's jumping into the lion's den. Somebody's losing their house. A lot of people think like, oh, foreclosure, like they're just going to sell it. Like, no, they're in jeopardy of losing their home. They don't want to sell it. And usually it's a whole slew of things that have, a compound effect that's forcing them or, to either, sell the house or lose the house or whatever it may be. So you find out very quickly what to say, how to say it, or else you're going to get the door slammed on your face, etc. So fast forward, it was about 7 months, and of learning and whatever. And finally, the first person after hundreds of doors says, come on in. And I go, oh, shit. Now what? I've been used to getting. I almost took it as normal. So she's giving me a tour of the house, and it's in my local neighborhood of Meadow Lake here. And I'm going, oh no, I'm trying to think of the next thing to say. Now, mind you, this is no joke how little I knew. She was showing me the whole tour. We go downstairs, there's a burner, a water tank, and all that. I didn't know what any was. I mean, I'm telling you, I knew nothing. So long and short of it, house was kind of a wreck. I mean, she walked the dogs from the kitchen to the bedroom, let's say, we'll call it black gold, if you will. So fast forward, we end up, striking a deal. My father came on as a partner, and my intentions were to flip it. And long and short, he basically said, well, look, you're paying $50 a month here rent. You could get some roommates. It's, it's a good area. It's at the house, do a light rehab. And again, I knew nothing. My dad pretty much took it over, took out, picked out the cabinets, all this stuff. I ended up moving in with a couple of roommates, kind of how, what do you have, that house hacking as you call now. So did that, and then life happened, whatever it may be, and I kind of slipped away from the real estate for about a year for whatever reason. And then you had that itch tapping again, and at this time it started to change. Right, there was properties that or the crash, if you will. So you had most of these houses are underwater, and so in my mind, I was like, you know what, I know this is still doable. I did it once, but I wasn't active and just trying to, you can't half-ass this business. You can't treat it like a hobby. You're either in or, that's it. You'll do maybe a deal here and there. But so I remember I made the commitment and I was like, I really want to make this happen. And so they were doing layoffs at Nectaphone. And I actually approached my boss's boss because he kind of knew I was in the real estate. We had a good connection. And the long and short of it, I kind of pitched it to him like, hey, I understand there's layoffs going on and maybe this is an opportunity, whatever. And obviously if it's a young 26-year-old kid versus laying off a guy who's got a family, like for an ethical perspective, it'd be better to let me go. And also it was a good opportunity. So I took the severance package and I was able to collect unemployment. And I remember going to bed every night, because you're learning this on your own. It's kind of like, it was not too much structured. It's all on you. And you hope that you're buying or reading courses that are legit and not some scam or whatever it may be. I just remember going to bed every night, like, I hope this works. I know I have the motivation and all that, but it was almost kind of like, I know there's light at the end of the tunnel, but I really had to just continue forward because it was a full year, 1 full year before I landed my first short sale. So
Really?
I think after 5 months, the severance package ran out. And, when you're doing that and collecting unemployment, I made a joke. I was like, I could sit on the beach and drink martinis or whatever the hell and make more money, but I didn't want to lose that opportunity that was granted to me. But don't get me wrong. I mean, like anyone, after 5 months, then that income gets cut off. Sure, you have a little bit of reserves, but I was, as I say now, no plan B. I was fully committed, and it was tough in the sense because every day, 24/7. I was telling you before, I wasn't married, no kids, no nothing. So it was really 7 day a week thing and pushing forward, door knocking, you name it. And then short sales, as you know, were challenging as all can be. And I felt like every time I was learning the short sales, they would put another regulation in place. Like, oh no, now it's a 90-day flip rule and all that. And I'm like, I just can't get this to.
It was like the Wild West back then, right?
A little, but it was like I was always playing the catch up. Like I was good at getting the deals, and I just didn't know what to do to them at that point, especially a short sale transaction. I mean, I think back now for someone who knows so little, the documents that were requested, the payoff not the payoff letters, the hardship letters, the tax returns, the whole slew of it, or else they wouldn't touch it. And not only that, if you opened up a file and you submitted with the contract and you didn't get it to them in a timely manner because maybe the homeowners were no motivation because they're not going to make anything,
Right.
process over again. So I made the transit. The beauty is that after a year of doing it, even though the house that I was living in, was the first house I got, it just kind of reinstated that it is possible, right? It wasn't just a fluke, the first one that I got. And at that point, when it was real, when I left my job and I was doing it full time, I knew I was committed and I was going to do whatever it takes that was, needed to make it happen. Because that entrepreneurship itch that we all have, right?
Right. Right. No, I mean, so it's true. I'm glad that you share that story because it's not easy. It's especially that first couple of years, right?
Oh, for sure. So, I mean, interestingly enough, kind of like what we're talking about as far as, hidden list, if you will, or kind of thinking outside the box.
Hmm.
I mean, a big part of that is because a lot of these are free sources, and I get it. When people are starting out, or maybe, I mean, not even starting out, I could think of times that 4 or 5 years ago where you got a lot of money on the street, maybe a deal went south and you haven't encountered that before, and you may have 4 or 5 rentals, but you might be tight with cash and you got to kind of make maneuvers and whatever it may be. So at any rate, to me, I feel like the free aspect is a good route because it's good quality data, but it also kind of takes away that, I don't know, that barrier, if you will, that, because I do spend a lot of money on my education, the data and all that. But if you're starting off, I know you probably have more time that you can invest than maybe someone who's more experienced. So you don't mind maybe diving in a little deeper like I did to set yourself up to maybe get things rolling again when maybe money's tight and whatever it may be. So I'm not saying necessarily it's 100. Maybe as you grow, this may obviously you want people in place to do this stuff for you, but I think it's good skills to have. For example, I talk to a lot of really successful people, and if they were to lose everything, the one thing you can't take away from them is their knowledge and their experience. And I recall when I was going to the county clerk's office, we're talking 2004, 2005. I was going there with literally a pen and pad and going through the Chancery foreclosures books and writing that in, and then coming home and accessing on the computer and typing in Excel, etc. Then I graduated to where I brought my laptop, so I would type it in Excel, but I'm still looking at the books. And then they graduated to where they put it on the computer systems. And now most of them, or at least we're on most of the ones I access in New Jersey, are accessible online.
Right,
But
right.
if that ever goes down, if anything ever happens, I could go to the county if I have to, and I know how to navigate. That's something that will never be taken away. So, not to say you should be doing that long term. I think some of the practices and stuff that I teach are just like a good foundation, a good resource. And then either, hey, if it works for you, great, or you can put someone else in place, or maybe you graduated and done something else. I know some higher end guys who spend a ton of money and they just send the same postcard out for the past 6 years for that operation. Maybe it works. They're capital heavy and whatever. But I could say for my experience, like when I was first starting off, I was using ListSource. That's what they taught. That's all I knew. And so, okay, I would download the file, and I did that, I don't know, maybe a year or two or whatever it may be. And I remember looking, because as you know, you could download this tax records. It has every,
That's one thing I wanted to actually, because I was watching one of your videos, and to be honest with you, that for me, I've always utilized the tax, but I didn't know that you can download
oh yeah, see, like
records.
yeah, and there's
So I don't know if everybody is familiar with. Maybe you can go into that a little bit.
sure. So
And one thing, and sorry to interrupt, but
no worries.
I was watching the video and I was looking at, and you downloaded some records, and the
Yeah.
fact that you have the ability now to search for those terms, that
Oh,
was like a eye opener. I was like, wow.
yeah, and it's funny. That's kind of what inspired me to start creating those videos, because what I do every day and I take for granted and stuff, I have other people tell me like, holy hell, like that's, and I'm like, oh, like I just took it as common knowledge. And they're like, a lot of people don't know that.
No,
Like,
I didn't know that either.
yeah. So how I always knew about the tax records, and I knew, you could download and search and all of that, but I really was just using ListSource. And, once in a while, maybe I would kind of look and see, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm looking at this in the tax records. This is a viable lead, and I just downloaded from ListSource. I don't see that anywhere in there. So I'm like, okay, it was just like a first eye opener. Truth be told, a couple months went by, whatever it may be, and something happened with my ListSource account. And I remember talking to the rep, and they were like, "Oh no, there was an error. We're charging you less." And it was something like, let's say I was paying like 80 or 70. It was over $300 something dollars. Now, hindsight, I look at that. If it was a different service, whatever it may be, maybe I just would have said, "Hey, screw it, whatever. Like my time is worth, etc." But given that time period, like again, money may be tighter or out. You're learning, whatever it may be, the extra couple $100. So, and I'll be completely honest, I probably was a little on the spiteful side that like, wow, I didn't get treated like they were just like, screw you after being a customer and like tripled the whatever it may be. And then I'm looking and saying, well, I could get this data for free and it's not going to have missing records. But moreover, hey, if a lot of my competition is just getting from the list source and we're all mailing the same people, well, those couple or however many records that they're not getting, that I am getting direct from the horse's mouth, they're probably not getting saturated from all the other competitors. So that was kind of like the transition of, where I was, what I did. So I use the county clerk records and the tax records as my primary source for leads. I love the tax records. I think there's gold in them. There's probably some things that I still haven't even figured out yet. If you download the file, you'll see there's a ton of fields. And from that, you can get obviously absentee owners. You could see when it was sold, how much it was sold, even within reason, potential equity and stuff, the types of properties, the class and all. And you could really filter down pretty nicely and get certain lists just from these free sources. So
the one thing I just want to say that the fact that you can download it, I didn't know that, because when I like for a while back, what I had was I had a VA actually use 1 point VPN, if you're familiar with what VPN is, because what they do is they time you out. If you're out from the foreign country like Philippines, right, you can't access that database. And so I would literally have to create a VPN, or I would have them log into my computer at the office and then have them access that site through that way.
I found that out. Yeah, especially like because I have VAs that handle that, and the ones who do my list management are from India. So yeah, they have to use some VPN. And interestingly enough, they may have gotten it a little stricter because they were running into some issues. We had to find, but yeah, ultimately, if you have to, you have like a laptop, let's say, set up. You give them, it's like I forgot the one that we use, but basically allows. Oh no, Team Viewer. I was giving them access to Team
Yeah,
Viewer.
team viewer.
They click around and they do it. They have to do. Um, but yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is, again, first starting out, and I can't take credit for all the topics we'll maybe talk about. I like to consider myself, I don't know, maybe like Bruce Lee, the way they say that he took, I guess, a lot of different fighting styles and kind of combined them into his own style, if you will. I kind of think that's like how my operation is. Like if I see something that I picked up a nugget from here, we'll add that to the process. But a lot of which maybe on the data side, which I have found myself, but not all of it. It's kind of a collective of everything. So what I the concept I like is like teach a person to fish instead of giving them a fish, right? Like if all of a sudden someone's like, hey, what list is before? If I put that out there, it gets saturated. And what good does that do, right? Like the whole purpose of this call is to try to like educate you guys so that, hey, if absentee owners is hitting this year or 6 months, okay, that's great. When everyone's zigging, I'm going to zag, so to speak. Um, you have, I guess, like for college, for example, you go there to learn how to learn. So my recommendation is like, for people to literally look at the county clerk records. There's a ton of info in there as well of like the type of documents you could search, therefore pull certain lists. I get a bunch of mine from there, but also into the tax records. Like I literally take a deep dive and just try to analyze the data to say what the heck is what. They don't have a guide or a manual, at least that I've seen, that says exactly what, this it might say, okay, class 4, and it'll give like the code and also like how many characters are for that field. But I haven't had anything that'll say like, this field, this is what this relates to. There's some data in there that I haven't made sense of. I can't figure it out, but maybe it's good, maybe it isn't for certain accounts and mortgages, et cetera. But from what I studied and stuff, like mentioning before, you could take what's, the sale dates, the property classes, just doing a comparison on 2 fields gives you absentee owners just like that. And the thing that I like most about it is that you're going to get the most up-to-date info when you're getting it directly from the source. And you're not going to have those missing, things that maybe the list source has, or maybe whatever your provider is. Maybe they're unscrupulous. Maybe they're in your area and they're taking a couple from themselves and feeding out the rest. I don't know. But at the end,
Can I ask a question?
yeah.
Do you know how what the delay is approximately in when it gets recorded and when it shows up? Is it all the same in the various counties, or?
I don't believe so. In my experience, so for example, if we're talking tax records, I know Ocean County, they used to be part of that website, which you see all of them. If you see my videos, the simple white and blue, looks like it's probably from 1998 website. Very simple, no frills or no nothing. Ocean County is no longer part of that, and they have a separate website. And you could search manually, but if you want their full download, I believe when I checked a couple years ago, it was like $100 for the CD. That's great. That's awesome. Not a huge fan of that because does that mean I got to buy the CD every 2 weeks, every month, every whatever? How often do they update it? I don't know. The one for like Morris County, for example, I don't know necessarily how often it's updated. In my experience, I guess it's as often as we need. I haven't really seen any major discrepancy from the data, but I do believe it's also possibly at the town level. I'll see certain towns that are a lot more delayed than others.
Oh, okay.
That's at least in my experience. Whether that has any correlation or not, I'm not sure. But for our intents and purposes, and I believe a lot of these list providers, I think they do get it from the same sources that we're getting it from, I believe.
Right. No, I'm just thinking because like, when I was looking at your video, and because I get, well, I don't get it anymore, but I used to purchase the list of inheritance, and they would typically cost $800, per quarter or something like that. And I was
Yeah.
like looking at your videos, like, dude, I could get that for free now.
Exactly. So you have, I covered not only the tax records website and the county clerk website, but you also have the probate site or the surrogates courts that, actually, not to divert too much, but there's a good website. I don't know where everyone, everyone in here is obviously in different parts of Jersey, and not all counties and towns would ever have websites. But if you go to NETR online, I think it's, let's say .com or I think it's
And let me see if I can give you access. I don't know if are you on your computer right now?
yeah, I'm on the tablet. I was just using the other one. So here we
Okay.
go. So I have control.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see. All right. So if we bring up this website here,
Wait, does everybody see his screen?
do I have to share it, or
No, I don't see it.
Yeah, we don't see it. You'd have to share it.
is that something that I have to, let's see.
Yeah, you have to do that. You have to click on share screen.
Cool. Let's see. Share screen, boom. Okay.
There we go.
See that? You can see
Yep.
that?
Yep.
Wrong button. Online. Okay. So if we go to Netter Online here.
Man,
You
I haven't
can
been on that site for a while.
Oh, yeah. So this actually has information on the entire country, believe it or not. I really don't use the other states. I haven't been active in other states in some time, but it is relatively accurate, believe it or not. So when you go ahead and navigate here, for those that are in New Jersey, you can see you have these counties, right? So let's just say, for example, I want to go ahead and, Morris is my area. This will give me a direct link to the taxation board, county clerk board, and I don't think, it doesn't give surrogates, but I'll show you how you can do that if you were doing Morris County or whatnot. But these are direct links right to it. So if you see, so let's say someone's in Somerset and they're like, oh, I'm not really sure where that is. Now, this is another tax record website. I use the other one. This is probably okay, but as you can see, this is a good resource for these general. And here we go. This is one that I use for a good part of our list, believe it or not. I guess we're getting ahead of ourselves, but that's all right. So just to give you an example, document type, right? So if we go on here, then we could see a whole slew of all these different documents. So for example, if someone says, I want to go ahead and target pre-foreclosures, well, you don't have to buy that list. We got you covered right here. List pendants foreclosure. You select that, you select your dates, click search, and boom, there you go. Now, the reason what I was mentioning before, you can look, let me see. Yeah, there's well over 100 different types of documents here. So you could take a deep dive and say, this, let's see, for example, let me scroll down. Let's say, for example, construction liens.
I just saw that. I was looking at that
right.
construction lien.
So, someone may have it say, okay, let me go ahead and search those. And if you see some like really significantly high construction liens, who knows, that may set the stage to say, let me research this a little further. And you search that person's name and you say, okay, not only have a construction lien, they're also behind on their taxes. And oh wait, the tax records show that they don't even live there no more. You start to build this profile, if you will, for that particular person. But in turn, as you take a deeper dive and you research some of these, you may find a list that most people are not looking at. I'll give you an example. I marketed to veterans not too long ago, and it got me a good deal in Harding, which is a very prestigious area in Morris County. Something you would never hear of, and to be honest, I'm not even sure why. It had been for a reason. I don't actively market it too much, but you could just see there's just a ton of these that they're probably overlooked by a lot of people. You know, here again, the list pendants you have there. And you could see there's a ton of these. So, I mean, literally, if you were like, okay, let me go ahead. Actually, the final judgments, that's already quote unquote too late because
So Ryan, are these documents you're available to download for free or?
I'll show you. So I'll go. This is yeah. I mean, this is the actual county clerk website itself. And again, the reason for me showing you Netter Online is that if your listeners are, let's say they're in Monmouth as well, they'll just click the Monmouth link. Boom, you'll see this same thing. Now I'm noticing a good amount of them are using the same type of layout and I guess back end or they look similar on the website. So you become familiar with, let's say, Morris County, and you're like, hey, I'm also doing stuff in Monmouth County. Well, the system is already pretty much the same.
Oh wait, so it's taking so Net Online is taking the link and it's directing you to the actual.
So Netter Online is going to give you. I'll just show you, for example. Ready? Let's go back. So let's say I said, hey, this is great, but I'm also in Monmouth, and mind you, you could go to Google, type in, county clerk record, Monmouth County. Google's pretty good, but this is a website for it. I have Google's not perfect,
Right.
So I want all data in one spot. So here you go, Monmouth County Clerk. Go to the data online, and boom. So here
Interesting.
you go. Right. So like I said, maybe it's just me, but like to me, I'm looking at this and saying, wow, look at all this information that's readily available to you. And sure, you hear of like certain lists that are the popular ones, the absentee, the tax delinquents, etc.
Right.
But there's a lot in here that if you just search, and we'll just take a look. Let's just say, okay, I'll give you an example. I think I chose federal tax liens on one of my previous videos. So there we go, federal tax.
Wow.
Let's say past 30 days, so we get an. It's not. I'm gonna have to.
No, I mean somebody that has a federal tax lien. I've done hundreds of short sales, and I would say probably a good majority of them have federal tax liens. And so
Interestingly enough, let's just say you're learning your system. You say, all right, federal tax lien. That sounds interesting. On this particular one, you click the link. Here it pops up. So right from here, all right, and let me try to move there we go, move the window there. So, all right, here we have a federal tax lien of a little over $3,000. In my opinion, maybe that's not, something to write home about. But let's just say if that was a $30,000 tax lien, and we said, okay, interesting. This is whatever. Let's just say it was a decent house, decent area. And I said, all right, that sounds interesting. Okay, $30,000 tax lien. Let's go ahead and let's research further. So I would take this, copy and paste, if it was typically a homeowner's name, and I would go ahead and search by that particular party here, right? And I would try to find more information on that particular person, if you will. So right now there's an LLC. Okay, I don't typically target companies. I'll try to get that document typed back. But you could just see the power in this of just, that's only one document. There's hundreds. I didn't put the, so you see if I didn't.
I think I saw 82,000 records or something like that.
Back in '89. So at the end, so here you go. Here you have a homeowner, right? And then you literally can just kind of go through these. But what I'm trying to show you is, if all of a sudden you went through about 5 or 10 of these documents and then you start to research further and you're like, you know what, these seem like viable leads for, I'm seeing that there's, most of these records that are $10,000 and above. Hey, typically there's other, situation or motivation that, I'm seeing, hey, this is a decent list to go ahead and target. And so the reality is, as you can see, again, look how many you have here that you can look through, and to see what is that document type? What does that mean? And hey, does that fall in line with, people that might be motivated to sell, right? So you literally can do, just as I'm doing this, to familiarize yourself, but you could also do that with, if you notice here, my links here, this is the tax website that I use. Very simple. And again, if you saw some of the videos to download, you literally just select.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah. You know, if you want, let me just, I'll go through a quick example. Why not, right?
It was right under my nose.
Yeah. So this might take a little. Let me just let's try a smaller county. What's a smaller county? I think say, I don't even know. All right. Anyway, we'll just go for a different one. We'll say Warren, Excel format. You can narrow this down, right? Like let's say if you actually wanted to use this criteria, hey, I only want properties that are that were 10, like a sale took place 10 years or before. You could specify that here. I typically, for what I'm doing, I download the whole file and then I filter it from there. But if you didn't want to go through that, like for example, if you're targeting land, boom, you could do that right here. And all these filters you see here, right? I mean, it's not perfect, but when I was starting to market to commercial, and look, you have apartment garden, apartment high rise. It's not perfect. You may get some that were filtered out unnecessarily, but I mean, look at, again, just from this one filter, someone's like, hey, I'm targeting warehouses to look for possible conversions. I mean, what I'm really trying to bring home here is familiarize yourself with these respected websites that are available to you.
Right.
George, and you're getting, in my opinion, probably the most.
There's a gold mine. It just, just,
Right, right there in front. So, I mean, look, again, you can filter all through here. Let me just show you real quick. So we'll select one of family. Let's see how fast this, when they're big files. Oh, okay, that was fast. When they're a bigger county, like Morris County, it'll take a little bit to download. And then here you go. You have a CSV file.
That's awesome. All this time, I never knew that you could download an Excel file, download the information.
All these videos are now worth it because I know one person got value.
Hey, look, I got value, and I've been in this business for a long time. I think,
I love it. I'm just going to try to bring this down a little more. So, okay, so here you have your header, right?
Yeah.
So I always like to freeze the top row. So here you go. I mean, just by looking at this, right? I'm just going to show you owner's mailing address, right? And property location. Let's just go ahead and highlight these two. There we go, right?
And you could compare the two and see which is.
Yeah.
You got absentee owners.
100%.
That's awesome. That is.
So I'm trying to find it quick. It looks like bingo. Here you go. So somewhat a PO box. I consider PO box absentee owners, but
right.
Literally can. I mean, there's multiple ways you could do it, right? Like I wouldn't advise doing it all by hand. You could do scripts. I even have some tools that I had built that I may make available at some point. At the end of the day, you could have a VA do this, but I think in the beginning, it's good for you to familiarize yourself. Then you could put the process in place and teach it, et cetera. But it's knowledge, I think. So here you go. Right from there, there goes. If you're just targeting absentee owners and you're paying list source, you don't need list source. You download it, boom, here you go. And you're not going to have missing info. This is exactly, again, I call it right from the horse's mouth. But you can, there's a lot of other information that you can dive into to do further filters. Again, like I said, like certain things like tax, SP tax, I don't know what that is. Maybe that's as a flag that may correlate to something that's a good potential fit. Here you have building description, right? I mean, again, it's not perfect. You'll notice when you search through this, you may see maybe typos, whatever else. That's because this stuff was put in by hand. There may be a small subset of quote unquote dirty data, if you will. But I've even seen some notes in some. There you go. And this is not too typical, but it says tax board judgment. So if I'm scrolling through this tax board judgment, that's interesting. Are they behind on taxes? What happened? What went on in there? And then as I research, let's say I go, oh man, that was a good lead. Well, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to look for tax board judgment in this column from now on, and that's my new list, right? So like, I think, just taking a look at this to see what data is available and what that allows us to do. So that's kind of it in a nutshell for.
No, I got value out of this.
Yeah, no,
Got my money's worth.
there's a ton. I mean, I could go, into this in a lot more detail, whatever. But at the end of the day, like, just looking at what you have here and what's at your fingertips, it's just good to just go in there, familiarize yourself, and kind of dig around. Because you may find something that, oh wow, this is something no one, like I gave an example before about veterans. I think they label some in here, it'll say vet or own vet, whatever it is. And I did a mailing campaign to just veterans. There's almost endless options that you could do.